that thou shouldest tell them who should sit on the throne of my Lord the king after him. Whoever David puts on the throne creates rest for the family. If David says it, that's it. There's no more jockeying for position. There's no more interruption, and there's no more upset. If David says it, then that is it. This is his will, and it will be carried out. So she wants everyone to be put at ease here. David needs to create rest for the family by giving his decision. There doesn't have to be strife over who's the strongest or who has the most connections. She says to him that you shouldest tell them who would sit on the throne of my Lord after him. Okay, so that's the thing that she wants him to do. She's going to make her husband better. She's going to create rest for her family, the entire family of David. And then she protects her family's future. This good wife makes her husband better. She reminds him of his responsibility to the nation. She creates rest for the entire family, and she protects the future of her family. Because she says in verse 21, otherwise it shall come to pass. Now notice that word otherwise. That's the big if. If you don't do it. If you don't do it, there's nobody else that can. You see, what happens here if you don't? A good wife always has a handle on what the future might hold for the family. She's probably seen it. And she says to David, her king, her Lord, her husband, and the father of her son, if you don't, here's what's going to happen. And she lays it out for him because she knows what's coming. I'm telling you, this lady, she is tuned in tight to everything that's going on. And this is why I say she makes her husband better, because David's not. David's sick, he's dying, he's thinking about glory, and he's got one more thing he's got to do. And here comes his wife and says, sit up, come on, we got to do something here. And he takes strength from her. He takes responsibility from her. He's reminded of his need to lead by her. She becomes the strength of his heart in this situation. She says, if you don't do this, here's what's going to happen. And she lays it out for him. And look with me at verse 21. Otherwise it shall come to pass when my Lord the king shall sleep with his fathers, that I and my son Solomon shall be counted offenders. So that's what David's thinking about. David's on his deathbed. He's being tended by Abishag, the hospice nurse. He's preparing to go see the little boy he lost, who's only 7 days old. And so she says, when you die, and that's going to be great for you, but what about the rest of us? You have a responsibility not only to the nation and to the family, but to me and my son. Here's what's going to happen. We will be accounted offenders. Now that word offenders, that's a really nice King James translation of the word sinners. Okay? It means that they will be seen as the ones who are in the wrong. They had sinned against the nation. And so Bath-Sheba and Solomon, their lives will be forfeit because somebody else was on the throne. Their lives are in jeopardy. This mother knows that. And she says, honey, if you don't act, here's what's going to happen. Now, the rest of the story is that David acts. He sits up on his bed and he says, call to me Nathan the prophet. And the prophet walks in. And then he says, call to me Benaniah, the son of Jehoiadab. And he comes in. And then he says, call to me Zadok the priest. And Zadok comes in. And he gives them instructions exactly how they're going to put Solomon on the throne. Exactly. Down to the last detail. Put him on my mule, take him down to Gihon. You're going to anoint him there. You're going to sacrifice. You're going to take him back and put him on my throne with my blessing. And then you're going to blow the trumpet. And everybody's going to shout, God save the king. And that's what happens. And David dictates that from his throne room deathbed. Because, and only because, there's a woman in his life that loves him enough to tell him the truth. But ladies, it always begins with waiting. It's always followed by respect. And then the door opens, and you can speak your loving words directly to that man that you love, that you've held so dearly all those years, and tell him the truth. Because I want to tell you something. Us guys, we need that. Don't we, men? Moms, here's the invitation. Wait. Wives, here's the invitation. Wait. Wait on the Lord. Sit at Jesus' feet a while. Be more like Mary than Martha, and wait to hear his voice. And husbands, treat your wife with respect when she comes to you after waiting on the Lord. And wives, treat your husbands with respect after waiting on the Lord. Perhaps you're here this morning and you're a wife. You're not a mom yet. This is for you. Perhaps you're here this morning and you're a mom. You used to be a wife. Maybe your husband's gone on. This is for you too. Because still, moms have a job to do in the family, whether the children are young or whether they're old. And it involves all these things that I've talked about. Wait on the Lord. Seek his face. Then act. And act out of love for those men and those children in your life. So this morning, this is for you. How will you respond to the Lord's word?
Jesus will meet you.
Thanks for listening to this week's message. Please join us again next time for another installment of the Creek Road Baptist Pulpit.